We're all owned by the Syndicate, body and soul. Or should I just say body?
Hello, filthy movie lovers, something weirdos, and anti-criterion bros, to the 12th episode of the Sin Syndicate, the only podcast that has ridden the exercise bikes in Catacomb 69 and has met Miss All Outdoors of 1964. My name is Gentry Austin, writer and researcher, and I'm here with my co-host, adult film historian Casey Scott. In today's episode, we will follow through on our threat to finally cover a true blue nudie-cutie. And what better way than to spotlight the greatest nudie-cutie ever made, Peter Perry's 1964 Monster Mash masterpiece, Kiss Me Quick.
Kiss me quick.
And kiss her you will in this sexbomb fantasy. See this nut of a sex fiend with all of his weird contraptions transform beautiful girls into hot sex machines. All heaven breaks loose when this gutless blimp appears from another planet who has never seen a girl.
But before we take a visit to Dr. Breedlove's laboratory, Casey, how's it going? I think you got some stuff for us.
I do. Well, before we dive into this film, which is a rare solid 10 from me in the nudie-cutie genre. I love this movie, House Down Boots, start to finish. Actually, we're going back to the Rotsler days. It seems like I can't stop talking about Rotsler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was contacted by a friend of mine on Facebook, Mike McCollum, after our episode dropped when we talked about Girl with Hungry Eyes, and I had mentioned how I really wish Shannon's Women was still around, because that was one of the films that William Rotsler directed that he's in as Shannon Carse. And Mike said, not to make this movie, not to get you too excited, because the movie was fine. It's not great, but I actually saw it. It exists. There is a print that exists that screened at a drive-in at a film marathon in 2017 at the Skyline Drive-In in Shelbyville, Indiana. So apparently there is a film collector who has that print as well as a lot of other different prints that isn't too precious about them, but I'm not sure if he has ever been contacted by like Vinegar Syndrome or something weird or anybody else to have access to those prints to scan them. But there was a collection of people out there who in 2017 in Indiana saw Shannon's Women. And I wish I had known, because I would have flown out to Indiana to see that movie, because the chances of that happening again are probably very slim. Because when it's like the one print that exists of a movie, it's not going to get screened all the time unless it's like digitally preserved and then screened by a DCP or something.
Yeah, what is this movie?
So that was really exciting to hear.
What's the
I'm trying to remember what he said the plot was. I think it's like a Hollywood kind of expose thing. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to talk to him more about it, actually. But he said I don't want to oversell it. It was fine. I was like, yeah, I know. But listen, I'm a Rotsler diehard.
Where does it fit in the Rotsler timeline?
So it's like 68, 69. So I think it was 69. So it was before Godson, after Girl with the Hungry Eyes.
Okay.
It was on that in between period. Well, he was with Novak, from that whole time, but I think he did it independently.
Okay.
And so I'm still, hopefully, we'll be able to see it at some point. He also sent me two newspaper items about Cathy Crowfoot, which indicates to me that she was kind of always gonna get noticed in some way or another. He sent me her marriage notice that she got married to a Hawaiian Airlines pilot in 1964, and the marriage notice mentioned her latest movie, Everybody Loves It, is showing at a theater near you, and it was like, wow, okay.
I don't know if that's her movie, but she's in it.
Yeah, she's in it, right. But you know what? That's good publicity. I'm sure that, I think that was a Dan Sunny movie. I'm sure Dan Sunny was really happy about the publicity. And then he also sent me an item from 1968 that said that she was seen around town with Warren Oates. At that time, Warren Oates was I mean, he was known. He had been in The Heat of the Night in '67, so he was kind of an up-and-coming character actor at that time. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if that means that marriage didn't last. It obviously didn't, I don't think, because then she was with John Lamb, and then Monroe Beeler, and then I guess Warren Oates was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She was a woman about
Cathy.
town.
Keep him busy.
Yep.
Yeah, keep him busy, you know? So, yeah, those are the little interesting tidbits that I completely forgot to mention last week, but I definitely think they're worth bringing up, especially because we can kind of connect to the nudie-cutie genre as well because of the Cathy of it all. And the Everybody Loves It connection to the nudie-cutie genre.
Yeah. So we tried to find her again on Facebook, but she might have disappeared.
I'm hoping that doesn't mean that our podcast has a wider reach than I thought. I would hope that if we had listeners, I think I've said it a few times on here, reaching out to people is a slippery slope. So you want to be careful how you do it. I don't know if that's what happened. Or I don't know if
so, but
I'm hoping that, I'm hoping not. It has happened in the past.
Where someone gets scared off.
Been found, and someone is contacted by the quote-unquote wrong person, and then they go into hiding. It happened, at least in the adult industry, it's happened several times, and I've had to kind of start from scratch with certain people because of the way that others have ruined it. But I'm hoping that it's for like a good reason. She just wanted to go secret. Hoping it's not for a reason that maybe she's no longer with us, and we don't know that yet, you know?
Right.
Maybe she just went offline for a bit. I have no idea.
But yeah, Cathy Crowfoot was in a few nudie-cuties, so maybe that's a good segue. Let's just talk about, look at like the broader nudie-cutie subgenre.
Remember, this is not just another nudie. This is not just another cutie.
Kiss me quick.
This is a hottie.
For those who may not know what they are, what are these stupid films? What did Frank Henlotter say? They are the dumbest movies ever made, I think was his quote.
Yeah, and he's right. They are so stupid. Because, so obviously, and I think it's even an old quote as well from either Frank or maybe Friedman, is that as soon as people could start using a film camera, there was a naked lady in front of that camera. Yeah. Just like, listen, it's just the drive of men hungry for flesh. They want to capture a woman. They kind of have nudie cuties are intentionally stupid because they only exist to show naked ladies. But they're very tough to get through, a lot of them, because they have their roots in burlesque, which are also films that are tough to get through because it's the idea of combining sexy ladies with a bare minimum of nudity, but never full frontal, and really bad comedy, and then combining those two things. And so you're going to get really stupid, dated comedy mixed with like beautiful ladies that are being leered at by really old men generally. Like, really old people who've been touring the country doing terrible routines on stage for decades.
Yeah, it has its roots like going way back to like vaudeville, even with these, you'll hear the term baggy pants comedy thrown around a lot. It's because like the guys in these movies were generally like old vaudeville comedians, and they wore those big heavy pants. Just, it was part of the gimmick.
Right. And that was funny.
Yeah,
I guess. It's just like some humor doesn't age, and that's why I think a lot of these films are just so tough to get through because they're very rarely funny. Their humor basically aged within months of the movies hitting the theater, or they were already aged by the time they hit theaters. Like, we're talking the 60s. This is humor from like the 20s.
Yeah, some of the jokes are like very of the moment as well. Like you said, like they dated within that year. Even in this, when I was rewatching Kiss Me Quick, there's like a couple like Jane Mansfield jokes in there, which are kind of like...
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because they kind of coincide. The rise of the nudie-cutie also coincides with the nudist camp film. I mean, the nudist camp films and burlesque films were kind of around since like the 50s, because burlesque films even started earlier than that. But I'm thinking of like Garden of Eden was 1954, and then that was kind of the best way to show nudity with no sex. And that is kind of the hallmark of nudie cuties. They are sexless sex films. There is no sex in them. It's basically, the goal is to see naked women. They're very rarely being touched. Yeah. There is no sex, not even with clothes on. it really is just about the male gaze onto a naked lady. And the best you can hope for is if they're shot well. Typically, they're shot in color because it's easier to promote those, and you want to see in living color because they're also trying to mimic the men's magazines that were becoming very popular, like Playboy, Adam, those kind of things, Gent, those magazines that would show women in color pictorials. So if you're going to go see them on the big screen, you want them to be in color. And so the nudist camp movies and the nudie-cutie movies kind of go hand in hand because it really is about presenting nudity with zero sexual activity. The nudist camp films are actually much more chaste and boring than I think most nudie-cuties. At least nudie-cuties are trying to be funny.
Right.
Nudist camp movies can come across as very...
Like PSA for like
clinical?
Clean living. Yeah, clean living.
Right.
Sunshine.
Right. And they can kind of skirt around the censors too by making it look like it's a lifestyle. It's not. It's a documentation of a lifestyle that is about health and is endorsed by like medical professionals. Okay. Whereas nudie cuties is really about like, well, there's nothing offensive about nudity except full frontal nudity, which took several years to become legal in these films.
Yeah.
But that's how these movies kind of stayed very innocent and cheeky and like cheesecakey, and why they're still so stupid because their only purpose is to show naked ladies. And so I think your tolerance for these films really depends on how much naked flesh you can sit through with literally nothing else to appeal to you. So, and that's why I think Barry Mahan's movies are terrible because I think he's the king of the nudie cuties in terms of like output. I think he made the most of anybody, including the features and shorts. And most of those are really difficult to sit through because it really is just setting the camera up and letting it run while someone takes their clothes off and just lounges around. That's kind of the name of the game in nudie cuties.
Yeah, and the thing with Barry's...
And that's why Kiss Me Quick is so great because it's so much more than just naked ladies. It's like horror and comedy and like garage rock music and dancing. And it's like there's a lot going on in like 67, 68 minutes.
Yeah, Barry's are interesting because there's not as much of the comedy is all just on the screen. It's not jokes told like it is in Kiss Me Quick. And yeah, like these nudies it's are visual. Like I think Harry Novak was like, these are intentionally not lewd pictures. This is something you can play like at your house with guests around. So that's kind of the idea behind them. And I mean, it's all in the title.
Yeah, that's kind of a good quote on his commentary, actually, where he was like, "You could show these at a party," and I'm like, "Sure, Harry." Yeah. I mean, but honestly, that's why this one is aged really well. This is a movie you would totally put on a party. It's just in the background. There's so much fun stuff. It's just so visually appealing, and it's just a lot of raucous fun. So it is Wonderful World of Girls, not so much. That's the follow up, but this one. Yeah, it's like a perfect mix of like monster kid stuff from the mid 60s and the most beautiful women you could find in LA in 1964.
And I think, like you said, the visual aspect of Kiss Me Quick, I mean, let's get right into it. Like, we're bashing nudie cuties. A lot of them are terrible. What makes this one work? Let's just start there. And I think for me, it's, the visuals. Laszlo Kovacs, award-winning photographer, did you say this is his very first project in America?
Very first. He worked on Incredibly Strange Creatures with Vilmos Zsigmond because he and Vilmos Zsigmond both came over. I think Vilmos Zsigmond came over in 56 or 58. I get those years mixed up. But Kovacs didn't come over until later. He came over in 62. But they knew each other and they escaped, communist Hungary and came to America. Kovacs... I think the first thing he worked on was Steckler's Incredibly Strange Creatures, Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies. And that was a movie that he and Vilmos both worked on. And then he kind of stumbled into Novak's world and photographed this and Wonderful World of Girls, Mondo Mod, and then Mantis and Lace. And all of those are just like really well done. Wonderful World of Girls is a little more stagnant. He doesn't have as much fun with the camera as he does in Kiss Me Quick. But yeah, I mean, you open with this camera basically worshiping this woman, and it's like, oh, this is not like any other nudie cutie that I'm seeing.
Yeah, the camera is kind of so like close.
You need this. Yeah. Yes, and even Russ Meyer wasn't really doing that yet. I mean, his stuff Moral Mr. T's and even the Handyman and things, he wasn't doing the close-ups that he would later, and then he started doing in like Lorna and the black and white films. I think Kovacs really was kind of a visual trendsetter for this genre because he photographed it so differently than everybody else. And I think that it's kind of interesting what it requires to like inject a jolt of excitement into the genre, which is like a complete outsider, not even an American, just a young guy from communist Hungary who had to escape the communists and was like, and wanted to make it in Hollywood. He's like, I'll do this. And I get to, show these Americans that, it really feels like this is his audition piece. Like, this is what I should be doing. I should be photographing, Hollywood movies.
Please don't be cross with me. I never even saw a woman before today. You might say I'm just feeling my way.
It's funny that Harry Novak would say, like, these films are not lewd, but there is, like, they're very erotic just because of Kovacs, how he uses his camera in some of these shots. Like, he's right up there as they're like taking off pieces upon pieces of black lingerie. Right. So it's very it feels a lot later in the cycle than it actually is, don't you think? I don't know, something visually
it does.
about
it feels like something from 67, 68. Yeah. It doesn't feel like 64.
No.
It feels like something way later because you'll see films from later that look like this one. Mm-hmm. Because I think that is a good demonstration of how this film broke the mold in terms of nudie-cuties. And this was as nudie-cuties were kind of dying out. We were moving into, full-fledged exploitation with actual sex scenes. We're moving into roughies. We're moving into different variations on the genre. So this was kind of like the nudie-cutie by 64 was kind of done. It was kind of boring. Yeah. And so this is such a jolt of life. Yeah, it's just so much fun to watch. I love rewatching it today. I just watched it a couple months ago. And it flies by really quickly. Like, even when there's very, very little story. And there's some sequences where it's just like narration by the two male leads where they're just cracking jokes over these naked ladies. But it's just so visually stimulating and beautifully done. It's beautiful to look at.
Yeah, which is funny that you mentioned The Wonderful World of Girls, which came immediately after this and was pretty much bankrolled off of all the money he made from this one, because that film is it's like a step backward almost. It's very, like you said, the camera is just kind of in long shots. There's not as much of that, even though it's shot by Kovacs, so I don't know what the direction was in that, but it's very vaudevillian.
I don't either.
It's totally a step, like 5 steps back, I'd say. It's worth a watch just to see.
Yeah, it feels older.
But it feels way older.
So, it feels like 62. It feels like 61, 62. Yeah. It's kind of like it's like even Everybody Loves It is 64, but that's late. But I'm thinking of stuff like, I don't know, The Touchables or...
it feels like one of those Mayhans,
there's a lot I don't like. Yes.
Because it's mostly silent. It's also, like no dialogue.
Yes. Right. It doesn't feel like Kovacs is kind of given a lot to do, or he's not let loose to do what he wants to do like he was on Kiss Me Quick. It also feels like it was done much quicker.
This was done
it looks cheaper.
How much quicker could you get? They did this one in 2 weekends. According to Novak.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. It feels like they did this less because they were like, we made a lot of money with this. Yeah, it's like we're going to do this in like 2 days because if we did that in this much time and made that much money, we could probably do it in less time and make the same amount of money. Yeah. But what they're missing is everything works in Kiss Me Quick because it was just kismet. Everything came together at the right time and it all worked beautifully. So I think them trying to capture that lightning in a bottle twice didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, Lisa or anybody at AGFA, or I should say maybe Kino Lorber, we'd love to see a restoration of Kiss Me Quick. And if you want to tack on Wonderful World of Girls as a bonus film, that would be nice.
I guess.
Just for preservation.
Good luck with Carmen Novak. But yeah. I think Severin is probably the best place to go to for that because they're the ones they've done Scream in the Streets. They've done, what else have they done from his library? I feel like they've done some others, but yeah, I mean, Novak is that's kind of the thing. And I think that Alex was able to confirm, I think the Kiss Me Quick negative is still there, because I think he has a better idea of what elements were damaged in that flood and which elements are still around. And I don't understand, actually, I feel like Severin, that's like a slam dunk for Severin, because their two main focuses are horror and sex.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a horror sex hybrid, which I think is perfect. I think it's a really good crossover title.
Who's there?
Drek.
Drek who?
Dracula.
I didn't mean you. Get back. Back your belfry.
I broke a wisdom tooth.
That crazy gypsy.
So I would love for them to
Yeah, I know.
try to restore
We've
this one.
kind of touched on it before, but like, yeah, what is the state of the Novak catalog these days? There's so much that's been untouched.
It's all Carmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all with Carmen. And I don't know if because of the experiences with Something Weird, where Harry thought, I believe that from what I've heard, Harry thought that Something Weird was withholding money from them. I think he expected them to sell more than they did. So I think he thought there was money that he wasn't getting that simply wasn't there, because there's a cap to these movies,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I think that was what led to that relationship fizzling, is because of the Novaks. And then Harry passed away, and Carmen is handling all of it. But I don't know if she's asking too much money. Oh, that's right. They did Axe and Kidnap Coed as well. They got those movies away from Novak. And then I know Toys Are Not for Children came out through Arrow. Trying to think. That might be it. I'm trying to think of any other ones that have been saved. I'm waiting for Toy Box to be rescued. I love Toy Box. Like, there's so much good stuff in that library.
Yeah.
And even like the Mad Butcher, I'm surprised Severin hasn't gotten that, because that's like a Euro horror, which is another thing they're good at. So it really is just the Novaks being, well, now just the singular Novak being difficult to deal with is what I've heard.
Well, let's talk about Harry.
So I don't know.
Specifically with regard to this picture is, I mean, this is his big coming out party, basically. I mean, he kind of did this on the sly, right? First production.
Yeah, because I think he was working in distribution for Seymour Bordy at that time, because they had met working at RKO, and then they both, I think when RKO eventually went into television and shut down, that's when they joined forces and they got some pickups and were distributing some titles that they picked up.
Yeah.
And he shot this on the sly, and then didn't want Seymour Bordy to distribute it. So Seymour got mad and fired him. And then he tried to start a company with Ted Paramore, and Ted Paramore went behind him and got Bob Cressy involved. And Cressy was an asshole and pissed Novak off. So Novak took his toys and ran off and just did his own thing by himself without either of them. And that was Box Office International. And yeah, this was the debut in-house picture, the first of several, and then Wonderful World of Girls, and I think Kiss Me Quick, it kept playing for years and years, because like it was in color, so you could market it better, and even into the late 60s, it's still incredibly erotic, even if producers were showing full frontal or showing actual sex. I mean, there were still markets that were going to book this because it's marketable color product. It has that horror angle, it has beautiful women. It doesn't matter if, they're having sex or not. You get to see them beautifully photographed. So I know he made money on this for years, well into the 70s.
Bank, off of this.
But the thing that is interesting about the film, it doesn't have any written credits on it. They're all spoken credits. And so I think it's credited to Seymour Tuchus?
Yeah.
And so, nobody was going to know who Seymour Tuchus was, because Pete Perry hid basically on every single sex movie he made. It was a fake name. He didn't use his real name on any of the sex stuff.
Yeah, I want to get into that later. But the funny thing is, Mike Rainey had seen this, and he remembers how it kind of like blew his mind in the theater when he saw it, but he couldn't figure out what it was or find it because there was there's no optical titles, Right. He had no idea who made it.
Great way to save money.
Or even what the title of the movie was, because they don't introduce it as such. Girls say Kiss Me Quick numerous times in the movie, but that's not like a title that appears on the screen anywhere at any time.
Right. Right. It's very interesting. I realized that again when I rewatched it today. I was like, oh, that's right. There's no credits on this. They really saved on opticals.
Yeah, save money.
They just have a narrator saying the credits. And then it's interesting. Fanny Hill was kind of similar, where they did very similar stuff, and that was also Pete Perry, Fantasy Films, the same company that did this, did Fanny Hill, which is so much slower and boring, even though it looks great, because it's Kovacs again. It doesn't have the rhythm of this.
No.
Yeah.
It's a different film.
Oh, it is more of a sexploitation movie. Yeah, it's not really a nudie-cutie, because there is that sex that goes on forever.
Kiss me! I told you never to use the sex machine when I'm not here. Can't ever keep the plate straight. God, you're going to sex yourself out of the world one of these days.
Well, yeah, let's go into Pete Perry then, because he is kind of a mysterious figure. I feel like we've made a lot of strides in research behind what he's done. But yeah, for the longest time, he hid under so many pseudonyms, and he didn't do interviews. Nobody talked to him.
Nope.
Well, let's just talk.
Not even something weird, because they tried to get to him through Friedman and Novak, and he insisted, no, I don't want to do any. I don't want to talk about my work on this films with anybody. It's I run into that with adult film research all the time too. There are people who will talk to their friends from the industry because it's like, yeah, you're my friends. I've known you for years. Anyone new? They don't want to talk to anybody new about it.
Yeah.
So because it's like you weren't there, you don't understand, and also I don't trust you because, I trust these people that they're going to protect me from any potential bad things that my name attached to these films could bring.
Do we even know if he's alive?
I very much doubt he's alive.
Yeah.
Because he was... Yeah, if Novak, if everyone else from that era is no longer alive, I don't believe that he would be either. Especially because he started directing so early, like 1961, Honeymoon of Terror.
Yes.
I don't believe he's alive.
During that...
But the frustrating thing is, it's like, also, Pete Perry, very surprisingly common name. Because I was trying to search for him in the early 2000s, too. And that it was very difficult to pin him down, and I don't believe I ever did.
Yeah, so that original commentary with Novak and Mike Brainey, when would that have been recorded? I'm trying to pinpoint what year.
When that disc came out. I think that disc was 2000...
Yeah, early 2000s.
2002, so 2003.
At that time, he was alive because Novak did say, he's at home, he's happy, he's clipping coupons, but he doesn't want to talk to anybody. He's from a very religious family. He apparently is hiding this stuff. But, okay, so this doesn't make sense to me. Like, they say, he's very religious, whatever. He didn't want his family to know that he made, dirty movies. But he started a production company for those late 70s movies. What was it? It was Pete Perry Pictures Productions. And he did those Psycho Vixens and...
Oh, well, those are all R-rated movies.
Yeah, but I mean, they're
very different.
But they're even, I say they're lewder than... These are.
Those are general release pictures. That's very different. Yeah, not the same thing. That's like Gary Graver will talk about any of the R-rated shit he made. He won't talk about the X-rated stuff.
Even though the content is more vulgar than what was It's not the content.
No, it's not the content. Yeah, in Psycho Vixens, it was an R rating, and then the sex comedies he did there was all rated R. The content is not people having sex for long periods of time, regardless if it was softcore or not. Essentially, the goal of those movies, those Stootsberries and all the other ones he did, they're pornographic in the classic definition of that, which is their goal is to arouse and to turn on the audience. That is the goal. Psycho Vixens, the goal is not to turn on the audience. The goal is to show violence and bicycle babes. It's exploitation pure through. That's very different than sex films. I totally get it. I absolutely get it. Yeah, but
have you seen Hollywood High?
Yeah,
that sex comedy.
I have. It's unwatchable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's
terrible.
It's a sex comedy.
And Hollywood High 2 is just as bad. Yeah. Sex comedies are not the same. It's R. It's that's not the same thing. That's kind of like being I don't want to talk about doing Porky's. It's the same. It's just Porky's or Airplane or any of those things. Sex comedies are not sex films. The difference is the rating and the audience. The audience for these films were dirty old men in porno theaters. Airplane, Hollywood High, Drive-In. Those are for drive-in audiences. They were viewed in Variety. they had some named stars in them sometimes. Like, that's something different, and he put his real name on it. I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
He didn't even put his real name on Honeymoon of Terror, and that's barely a nudie movie.
Right.
You know? Everything had a fake name on it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I noticed even in Psycho Vixens, his wife is executive producer on that. Sue. Her name is in the credits.
It was a family thing. Yeah, that's how I thought. Well, I thought it would be easier to find him that way too, and that's why I think I had it narrowed down to like 2 or 3 people. And I was told by very many people who tried to contact him that it wasn't worth it, so I just never did. Never tried.
All right,
it wasn't worth it. So if Sue's still around, which I also doubt, she might be worth talking to, and I think they had kids too. But also something else to think about is that like, Pete Perry was also responsible for a lot of the casting in this movie. So he was very deeply involved with the sex industry of California and Hollywood and Los Angeles. He was going to strip clubs.
Yeah.
He was picking up women. He was having affairs with these women. Like, I've spoken to several women who work with him who said they had affairs with him. So like, it's all a big sordid mess that he really doesn't want to be connected to, and I totally get it. Like, you know, especially if you've moved on and it doesn't reflect who you think you are as like a filmmaker and a person, which I don't think these films maybe did after a certain point, where he was like, that was what I did then, and I'm not going to do it anymore.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah. So he also, speaking on that, he did some editing as well on hardcore films, right?
Ray Adamson.
And Adamson,
well, he directed one. Yeah, he directed, what was it? It was released as A Woman's Dream in 1980, and then it was reissued as a fake Taboo sequel for, like, Al Adamson and Sam Sherman.
Okay.
Yeah, if he did any other stuff on the side. But, all the Stewsbury stuff. I think, like, looking at his resume, the only 2 movies he used his real name on were Psycho Vixens and Mondo Mod, and that's it. Everything else was a fake name. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he's credited on Revenge of the Virgins either, because he didn't direct that.
Who directed?
I don't know why that is.
Who directed that?
I don't. I think that wasn't it Kent? Was it Kent Osborne? I don't remember, because that was shot as like a western and then unfinished, and then there was nude stuff that was interspersed into that. So it's possible he shot the nude footage and injected it for like a 62 release, but he didn't direct anything else in that movie.
Maybe he edited it. Maybe he just had a hand in editing. I could see that happening.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, because it was the year it was reissued with the nude stuff a year after Honeymoon of Terror. I think it was 62. Yeah. So he was pretty involved with sex film at that point.
Ed Wood wrote, or at least had something to do with the story on Revenge of the Virgins, as far as I know, right?
Which tracks, because it was not Kenny Duncan. Maybe it was Kenny Duncan. You know, maybe I haven't seen that piece of shit in years. I don't remember anything about it except it's unwatchable. I mean, it has the Ed Wood's connections. That doesn't make it any more interesting to me, to be honest. I think the only good sex movie he did, in my opinion, was Sinister Urge.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Well, maybe if we talk to an Ed Wood expert in the future here, we'll have to ask him if he knows anything about Revenge of the Virgins.
Yes, we'll add that to the list. There's a lot of other stuff with his stuff I don't want to talk about, though. But yeah. I don't want to talk about Necromania.
Yeah. Anything else on Pete Perry? I mean, he kind of just disappeared after the late 70s.
I'm glad that people have come around to realizing that he and Bethel Buckaloo are 2 different people.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because even on that Mike Rainey commentary,
Novak credited him. Yes, Novak loved to credit him with these movies too.
Yeah, it was Novak.
And what I've understood from people who worked on those is that they were kind of a 2-person team on those. So they were both on the set. Mm-hmm. Pete was much more of a technical person, where Buckaloo was just like a vibes guy. And he ended up directing movies on his own later. And Buckaloo always had his wife Marlene working on the set, even though he was like stooping a lot of these women on the side. Both of them were both ladies' men, for sure. I mean, multiple women have said they had little liaisons with both of them.
Yeah. I know you've talked to Sharon
and Buckaloo
Kelly.
Was on camera. Yeah, Sharon Kelly. Sharon Kelly has really good stories of both of them. I mean, she's quick to acknowledge that, both of them were on. She remembers both of them being on the set of these movies.
Yeah, so
I think she remembers Pete was more involved with like directing her as an actress. That she was more of a director, but Buckaloo was like calling the shots on the set too.
Okay.
So I think that's why it's easy to say, well, Pete was involved. Well, Pete was involved, and Pete directed these, but I think it was
Yeah.
more of like a team effort.
Yeah, I see that because, in that commentary when they're talking, it's not super clear what Mike was asking. So I think Harry answered the question Pete was involved in those, those exploitation films. But I don't think, he wasn't saying that Pete was the only person who directed him. So, I think there was...
Well, I remember one of them. I think he was also kind of like, well, no, Buckaloo didn't direct anything. I was like, well...
Oh, really?
Also, Harry, you weren't on the set of these movies. Like, he wasn't a Friedman. Friedman would go on the set and be hands-on in the production. Novak wasn't like that after a certain point on these movies. He didn't show up on the set. So, he wouldn't know who directed it or not.
Yeah.
But I imagine Perry would be the one going to the office and also editing because he was an editor and involved with shaping them into the movies that we see. But you can also, I think, tell which ones he was more involved with than Buckaloo because there's a certain finesse to some of those films and then a lack of finesse on the other ones. Mm-hmm. Like I think Country Covens is a little slicker than, say, Tobacco Rudy, which is a little more...
I could see that.
And Below the Belt, I think, is much grungier than... something else from around that time than like Midnight Plowboy.
Yeah, I could see that.
So you can kind of, it doesn't feel like it's one person responsible for these movies. And then Buckaloo seems to get the credit on all of them anyway. Mm-hmm. But you can tell that there are definitely different hands in the pie involved with those.
Well, I like that Buckaloo gets the credit because I think they do fit into sort of like a Buckaloo canon of films.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I like Buckaloo anyway, he may have had, like, this long-suffering wife that he worked with on these movies and, like, apparently 14 kids that he had to support. But I think also someone told me that he was either half Native American or full Native American, and I don't remember which now. Okay. So it's kind of, I think it's worth noting that there's this very hardworking Native American guy working in sex cinema in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, Sharon Kelly said that they were always filming up at his house, like in North Ridge. Is that the country house that a lot of those films were shot at? I wonder if that was...
I feel like that's one of the locations, because you see that one house in a few of them. I know you see it in, like, Sassy Sue. I think it's the same house that's in Country Cousins and maybe Pig Keeper's Daughter. Mm-hmm. But it's not always the same house in all of those movies.
Yeah, I was like...
it's not the same house in, like, Tobacco Rudy. That's a different house.
Yeah, and I was, like, looking up North Ridge, California. I was like, it's hard to say, like, what this looked like back in the 70s,
Right.
It was probably completely different, a lot more underdeveloped than it is now.
Well, and the crazy thing is, Buckaloo, for the longest time, I thought he died a long time ago. He only just died in 2023.
Oh, really?
He was 94 years old. And I'm like, damn! I could have interviewed Buckaloo? Damn it.
If he would have been willing to talk, that would have been a wild interview, yeah.
I would have loved that. Because I can't imagine the stories he would tell. Because, I mean, even from, like, casting... and all the different women that he worked with, and like, I think it's always helpful to get different perspectives of Novak pictures, because Novak's version is rarely going to be accurate, just based on logic. Like, you'll hear stories that he tells, like in the Kiss Me Quick commentary, for example, he misidentifies 3 different women as Althea Courier.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It's like, you don't know who these women are. That's not Althea Courier. What are you talking about? So
he's a little distracted. Yeah. I'll give him credit for
that's one of his only listenable commentaries. Most of the other commentaries are him just being a total randy old man and offering nothing of value. Getting to talk to, and that's why talking to Pete Perry would have been great, because you would have had a completely different perspective of what those films were like to be made. I think distribution, gotta listen to Harry, because Harry will tell you, even though he loved to say that his films were R-rated, because he slapped fake MPA ratings on them and got in major trouble, which he didn't like to talk about. But in terms of production, you definitely have to talk to other people than Novak.
Yeah.
He's not like a Friedman, where Friedman will tell you everything of the movies that he was there and worked on, and you can trust the accuracy with Friedman. Right. Novak, you have to second guess everything. It's very frustrating. Yeah,
we keep mentioning this commentary track because it is, like you said, it's one of the only listenable Novak commentaries where he's not just
I think it's this and Please Eat My Mother. Yes. Please Don't Eat My Mother is the other one, and there's one more.
Where he's not just making inappropriate comments about women and go too much further. But
Yeah.
and it does
That's not great.
Mike keeps him, well, he struggles, but he tries to keep him on topic. And I think the interesting part about it is, when he talks about the production. And in this one, I actually do think that most of his recollections are probably accurate because this was his first one. And I think he remembers it well because he says, I mean, I believe him, he was on set for all of it because this was his first.
For this, I do believe him in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he said
but then after a certain point, he was never going to be on the set for most of these. Yeah.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like...
And also, he was doing a lot of traveling and sales stuff. I mean, he didn't have the time. And that's kind of the difference. Another difference between him and Friedman is that Friedman's library, compared to Novak's library, is considerably smaller. Because Novak really picked up a ton of stuff. Like, people would come to him, or he would go out to other... I mean, he did a lot more foreign imports. Did a lot more foreign sales. So, like, Novak was really much more intent on building a larger library. Friedman was kind of going film to film with a few other little deals, like the Long Swiss Sword of Siegfried deal with Germany. And so that's why Friedman could afford to be on the set of these movies, because he took great care in making the best movie he could because he didn't do that many. Yeah. Novak, on the other hand, he was like trying to saturate the market as much as possible, and he wasn't really interested in being on the set making these movies. He was trying to get as much product as he could to get onto the market and make box office like a known, value in the market.
With Natasha as Boo Bra, Jackie is Kisme, Bibi plays Bear Bra, Claudia is Hottie Toddy, Althea is Gertie Tassel, Donna plays Gigi String, Lucky is Lotta Cash, Pat as Gina Cacciafani. They're all in...
Kiss me quick.
Let's talk about some of the players in this film. Some of the girls.
Whoever they are.
Whoever they are.
Right. There are no major superstars in this film.
Yeah.
I think the closest is Althea Courier, probably.
Yeah, she's probably the biggest star. Again, like in that commentary, Novak kept referring to them as like Columbia Slay Girls. What does that mean?
I think he meant like Columbia contract girls. Like there were girls that had like, which is also, they didn't really have that anymore. Like that was dying out. A lot of the studios didn't have like contract players anymore. That wasn't a thing. The studio that kept that going the longest was Universal into like the early 70s, but that died out eventually because everyone wanted to be a free agent, and the star system was dying out in that way. So I think that's what he's referring to, which makes zero sense to me. A lot of them are very clearly dancers, and also with they made other sex films and did men's magazine modeling and stuff. It's possible that they were were like bit players in Hollywood, but doesn't mean they had a contract. Not a lot of bit players had contracts. Right. They show up to Central Casting hoping to get a contract if they were still doing that in those days. But
so the girls,
Althea is mostly known for Russ Meyer movies. She was like one of the earlier Russ Meyer girls. And she's really good in Lorna, which is, I think, her most substantial role, where she actually gets a chance to act a little bit. And yeah, she's an interesting lady. She married a lawyer and then retired to become like a homemaker.
But she had a sex advice column, did you say?
Yes. So for Adam Magazine, she had this sex advice column, which, because it's Adam, I don't know if it was accurate or not.
Yeah.
But
maybe William Rotzler wrote that under her name.
It's possible because, he was involved with Adam and just in connecting them for pictures and stuff, and I'm sure he photographed her too. Well, actually, Rossler was also the still photographer on this, so he definitely knew her.
So to clarify, which one is Althea?
She's the one who is introduced in a sweater, and then she's taking her sweater off.
Is she like the one that's in that stasis kind of pod thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. That's her. And then Natasha's one of the three dancers. She's the brunette. I think that this is like her biggest role, because Case of the Stripping Wives, I think, is missing. It only exists in like a little surviving footage that's silent. There's no audio for it. She's not the same Natasha from The Kill and 1 Million AC/DC, because I just rewatched both of those, and it's like, no, that's not her. Yeah, she's become kind of a cult figure because she did a lot of modeling and men's magazines and stuff like that too. But I don't know what her real last name was, so no idea.
Yeah. Natasha was Mike Rainey's favorite, he said.
Yeah. She's great. She also seems like there's a level of class with her, or she's trying to bring a level of class She's kind of like trying to be like a Lily St. Cyr. It's surrounded by go-go girls, and it's very like it's a very different style. So when she's dancing with like Claudia Banks, she's totally insane and has a really great energy and just flopping all around. And then BB, who never really did anything else, she really strikes a pose very much more vividly because she's not doing the go-go thing.
I like it though. Yeah, she plays off. Yeah, she plays off Claudia Banks, who is the blonde one.
Yeah.
Because Claudia is just so
great.
high energy, and you can see, especially in the like, is it a pool? The very shallow pool.
Oh, that
scene.
pool sequence is crazy. I love it. Yeah.
Claudia is just like, I'm like, totally.
What is this? Why is this in here? Okay, great. Yeah. Yes, but I think that's why it's great because you have these three girls that are so different. If they were all the same, it would be boring. I think, and also if they were all three the similar energy, I think it would not be as memorable as it is seeing these three completely different styles of dance and like posing in one sequence.
Oh my! This is the dungeon exercise room. It is located in Catacomb 69 in the bottom of the castle.
It looks more like a school for gladiators.
They were stuffers in a candy factory before I sweet-talked them to the castle for this experiment.
Candy stuffers?
Yes, they stuffed all the candy in their mouths. But look at them now.
I'm looking.
You don't find goodies like that at Mrs. C's.
Yeah, the girls that are like in the that exercise room, I don't know much about them. You have listed as well. Yeah, Donna and Lucky.
Yeah, there's a blonde who she showed up in some other men's magazines, and then this girl Lucky, I think she did some posing as like Patty. What was it? Patty Powers, and that's kind of it. Like these
so those are probably picked up at the Cat from Peter, or maybe seen in a magazine.
Probably.
Yeah,
probably. I think that's probably what it was. Yeah, because that was Pete's hangout. was that strip club? That's where he picked up seemingly everybody. So basically, if you were a young pretty girl in Hollywood and you were like, well, I want to be in movies, just go to that club and get a few shifts.
Well, I mean,
you'll eventually get found by B. Perry.
It was probably his after work hangout, and he got to know people and got to know the manager probably. Right. And hey, it's the business you're in. What about the guys? Let's talk about a couple of the guys here.
Oh yeah. Well, that's something else. Max Gardens was the owner of the Gaiety Theater, so some of these girls were probably from the Gaiety as well. Yeah, like they were dancers there, and so Max. And he also, I think, co-financed this movie too.
Yeah, I heard that as well. Yeah, Max is the guy. He's Dr. Breedlove, and he's also under the alien costume. That's what Novak said. Yeah,
really?
Like at the very beginning when you see.
Yeah, but then, but Novak also said that Dracula was Max Gardens. I was like, no, it's not. They're in the same scene together. Yeah. What are you talking about, Novak? No, that's not Max Gardens. I don't know who the old guy playing Dracula was. Could have been the janitor of the Gaiety, for all I know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Same with the female mummy. I'd love to know who the female mummy was.
Under that, yeah.
And Frankenstein. Yeah, we don't know who they all were. And I think starting out, Novak is probably not. I doubt he got talent release forms. I always think of that when I think of this. I'm like, where are the talent release forms? And unfortunately, actually, speaking of which, Lisa just confirmed to me that Freeman didn't keep talent release forms for like anything. So I'm like, okay, great.
Liability.
Damn it.
To have them. I don't know.
Well, I think people didn't start thinking about it until porn. Because you had to have proof that people were 18 in this film. In these films, people weren't really getting into these films as teenagers. I mean, they were kind of established, they were vividly of age.
Yeah.
But and then Frank Coe, I think, is more known for his sound work. Mm-hmm. He did sound on a lot of stuff. And actually, I think you can hear his voice on the Mantis and Lace, the outtake reel that's on that DVD that's longer than the movie. You can hear him introducing tapes and cues on that. And I believe that is his voice.
Oh, okay.
And that the fact that those tapes are still around means that we should be getting a soundtrack of that if anybody was smart about it. But
oh joy, oh glory! At last I'll be a hero. Did you really think I was that damn dumb? Goodbye.
Yeah, and so Frank Coe he's playing Starlox, from
Stan Laurel. imitation
even describe this
alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it? It's the whole movie is very interesting. It's like an asexual alien that comes, and then the Frankenstein monster is trans.
Yes.
Because they have a whole thing about pronouns. And I'm like, what year is this?
Yeah, I know. It feels very modern.
We're having this very progressive. It's like I know it's supposed to be like a joke, but actually it's treated pretty responsibly, question mark. I'm just like, wow. Okay.
It is, and then it has a very topical comment where he's like, Dr. Breedlove makes a remark about how if he was in Denmark, he could be making good money off this because that's where they were doing all the surgeries at that time. Right. Was in Denmark. Right, because that's where you went.
Post Christine Jorgensen.
Yeah. Yep, it's a Christine Jorgensen reference.
Right.
So it's like,
and then it says, Frankenstein doesn't like it when I misgender her or something. And I was like, oh my, what? What? What year is this? It's very ahead of its time. Because I rewatched it and I was just like, seriously? Wow.
It's not really
I know it's supposed to be a joke, but it's actually... it's not. And it's supposed to be a joke, but the fact that it's not funny and it's not really treated like a hard joke, it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I buy it.
Is this a specimen?
Oh, no. This attempt did not turn out too well. Her name was Fanny Stein.
Her?
Don't call him a her. Her name is Frankie Stein now. She turned into a man, and she gets very upset when people call him a her.
Gee, that's too bad. She seems like such a nice guy.
And apparently like Universal didn't care that they were using their monsters.
No, which is also why I question the idea. I think someone had mentioned that Columbia was threatening to sue because they were going to call the movie Dr. Breedlove at first. Mm-hmm. I don't know where they were heard of that and threatened to sue. But then they called it Kiss Me Quick, which is just a ripoff of Kiss Me Stupid, which was, I guess they thought United Artists wasn't going to sue because they're the ones who distributed that.
Yeah, and it's an Elvis Presley song, Kiss Me Quick. It's the first track on one of his records. Yeah, look it up.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, then Elvis, the Colonel didn't want to sue. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, and it came out before this, so I think it's definitely a reference to Elvis as well.
Probably. Well, the movie has really good rock soundtracks. So.
Yeah.
I love to know where the music came from.
Yeah, what is the music? There's no voice.
It's like instrumental garage music, but it's really like, pumped up. It's like pumped up rock, garage rock.
Yeah, it's a mix of like garage rock, and there's some kind of like...
Or like surf rock.
Older kind of like library track music that's out, just kind of like soft, I don't know, backing music. But yeah, there's quite a few like propulsive tracks on this. It's not the usual like nudie-cutie music where it's just like, I don't know, how would you describe that stuff?
Like orchestral pieces or like jazz.
Yeah, like stolen orchestral pieces.
I mean, that honestly kind of dates those movies more. That's why this feels much more contemporary. Or that's why it feels like it's from years later, because it's like they're trying to appeal to a hip crowd, not like old men who fought in World War II, like, who are going to the theaters. Like, what is this loud rock music? It's like, that's why there's older, lamer ones. Yeah, it's all like light jazz or classical music or old library music, and so that's why this feels much fresher in the music department, because it's like, oh, this is of the time. Yeah,
which is funny because I mean the nudie-cutie, the nudist camp films were still running like concurrently with this. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you say? Yeah. So this is
I think so. I mean, they took a little bit of a break and then came back with when full frontal nudity was popular again. Then they're like, oh, we can finally show like Pickles and Beaver,
so
and
let's go back to the camp.
And Sweet Bird of Aquarius, mostly in Florida though. I think California and New York were like, we're not going to go back. We're going to stick to roughies. But actually, by '64, when was the last? I'm trying to think when the last nudist camp movie was. Actually, Lullaby of Bearland, probably same year, which is Manuel Conde, which is half of a nudie-cutie, half of a burlesque movie, half of a nudist camp movie. And then it's 3 stories. One is burlesque, one is nudist camp, one is nudie-cutie. So it's kind of like these 3 dying genres in one 64
last hurrah.
By Manny Conde in Florida. Yeah, it definitely feels that way. It's like Lullaby of Bearland is kind of like, oh, we're putting these genres to sleep. It's the Lullaby of Bearland.
Well, let's talk about the...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think nudist camp were concurrent with nudie-cuties. I think nudie-cuties were kind of... Because the nudist camp movies it was like a phase of like 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, Beast That Killed Women was 65. That might have been the last one, actually. Beast That Killed Women, the Barry Mahon thing.
Well, yeah, Beast That Killed Women. That's a good segue because that's almost... Oh, well, no, it is. It's a monster nudie, wouldn't you say? I mean, the monster is a gorilla, but...
I think so. I mean, it's a monster nudist camp movie.
Yeah.
It is still a nudie, but it just is that different angle of, like, nudist camp, because it still has that element of, like, well, this is how we live in nudist camps, and it's not necessarily monsters and nude women. It's not like, I don't know, House on Bear Mountain, I think. That's why that double feature is so perfect, because it's those two movies that are really very unique in that way, and that they're mixing monsters and horror with naked ladies, and there's like no sex involved.
Yeah, so if we're talking like the core monster nudies, House on Bear Mountain, Kiss Me Quick.
Yeah.
Or would you include Orgy of the Dead? I mean, there's skeletons.
That's a good question. It technically is, but it feels more like a burlesque movie.
Yeah, it's a showcase. I mean,
dancing and some camp. Yeah, I mean that's tough. I guess it is because it's not like, I think one of the elements of Nudie Cuties is really core to that like subgenre is the idea of wanting to touch women and you can't. And in Orgy of the Dead, nobody wants to touch those women. it's more akin to the burlesque movies where it really is just about women performing for a male audience. But in this case, it's a male and female audience. I don't know. I probably would, actually.
Yeah.
I think I would include Orgy of the Dead in that. Just because, I mean, the purpose is to see naked ladies, but it has that monster angle to it.
Well, Fanny Hill meets Dr. Erotico. Is that Lost?
It's Lost. Well, no, it's with that guy down in Florida who died, so who knows who has the rights to that. That's another one that was like a Fanny. It was kind of like a Kiss Me Quick, at least going from trailer and press materials. It was like she met a mad scientist with a Frankenstein monster.
Oh God!
So it's Barry Mahon, so I doubt it's good. Yeah, but I don't know. He says they were the best things he ever made. Then it's easy for him to say that when no one can see them to say otherwise.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
You also
and I don't know about the Love Captive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know because there's sex in that. And full frontal nudity, so it is different in that way. But it kind of fits into that mode of like monster nudie cutie. Because the point isn't to see people have sex. It's like a mix of really cheap New York last gasp of sexploitation meeting like monsters or fake monsters or whatever. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
It's tough.
Okay.
There's actually an excerpt of it on the Kiss Me Quick DVD.
Who directed
it? It's like the Werewolf
it?
Bongo Party. Larry Crane.
Okay.
So Larry Crane, who did Beware the Black Widow, which was one of the movies that was just reissued on the Vinegar Syndrome Lost Picture Show thing. Yeah. I think he also did Private Relations in '68, and then he did another one. But not a good director. I was confusing with Larry Hunter, who was the Doris Wishman actor, who I think also directed something. But yeah, no, Love Captive is interesting. It was part of the Hen and Lauder Sexy Shocker series. I remember just being dreadfully boring. And there's something cynical about it. Like, it feels like a cash grab.
Okay.
Not like this, where it feels like everyone involved is like really, really wants to be doing this and is having fun.
Oh,
Love Captive doesn't feel fun.
Okay.
Yeah, Love Captive doesn't feel fun.
Well, then, then we're going to boot it from our list. Because, I mean, a nudie cutie has to be fun.
It's also in black and white.
And
it's also in black and white.
Kind of has
to
be color.
Color, yes, I agree. And that's why there's some later ones. There's some later ones I would say were nudie cuties, like Henry's Night In.
Mm-hmm.
And that's black and white, though. But it is, the only print that is around is in black and white. I always wondered if it was shot in color.
Sometimes
but we don't have any color prints.
Yeah, sometimes that's the case too, is like you'll watch one that's later and it's in black and white, but then you look back at the history of it and you see it was shot in color, but it's just the only existing print that they have is black and white, which is always a bummer.
I'm wondering if that's the case with that one. I wonder if Alice in Acid Land was black and white. But if it's anything in '69 and it's not New York, then I always wonder why it's in black and white.
Yeah.
Because by '69, there wasn't really anyone shooting in black and white in California.
This is a sex gym. Everybody takes off a little bit. The customers don't lose weight, they lose their clothing.
Oh, do you think she's intelligent?
I don't know about her spelling, but when it comes to figures, she's a prize winner. She has the cups to prove it.
Well, talking about Kiss Me Quick and Nudie Cuties, you know, a lot of times I think modern audiences will probably look at these and see them as pretty sexist. I think Kiss Me Quick, for as fun as it is, like the overall concept of the movie is an alien going to Earth to find a female servant to bring back to his galaxy as like a breeding slave, basically, right?
Basically. Well, yeah, because isn't it all the aliens don't have sexual desire?
Yeah.
But their alien race is dying out, so they need somebody to help them keep it going.
Don't think about it too hard, yeah. But
yeah, I'm just because like I don't ever watch this movie for the plot. And there's no resolution to that, so who cares? It's just like that's not the point. The point is to see all these girls with stupid names dancing and being nude and seeing some monsters. They look flea bitten. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The worst. Yeah. I mean, at the end where they're like slapping tags on the girls as they come down that like conveyor belt is probably the most egregious part. But again, it's just like
I think
so hard to get mad at this movie because it's so stupid and it knows it's stupid.
Yeah, it's just stupid. Right. It's stupid. That's isn't it? I feel like aren't these some of these women created? I feel like Kiss Me is a creation.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like a Frankenstein monster, but she has no brain. So she's created to basically lounge around and be nude, and she can only say "Kiss me quick."
She can only
right?
say, yeah.
Kiss me quick.
Yeah, and the other girls don't talk.
Yeah. So maybe they're not even like technically women; they're just lab creations.
They're just creations, right? I mean, it's not any better, but it's like women. We have the fembots in the Austin Powers movie. It's very similar to that.
There you go.
Yeah. So they're not assigned to kill, like in the 10th Victim.
Yeah, so I don't know. But, do we have any deep thoughts on this then?
Well, I mean, the genre is inherently sexist. And the genre is completely built around the male gaze. The heterosexual male gaze, I'll put it at that. Because I don't have necessarily the same reactions to anything in these films that the target audience does. But, yeah, I mean, and that's why it's interesting to talk about these movies in a contemporary context. Because
with a straight male?
Well, no, I just mean in general. Okay. Like, you know, it took me a while into my adult years to kind of come to the conclusion that the sexual revolution fully benefited men. It didn't benefit women. It was about like making women feel comfortable in their sexuality so that they would then be able to get nude for men. Yeah. It was never about them pursuing what they actually wanted. It was about making sure that their desires were what men desired. So, yeah, the whole idea of the sexual revolution being actually empowering for women is like a backwards concept. When you watch these movies now, I think the fact that they are stupid makes it easier to digest them.
Yeah.
But also, then it's also like, yeah, I don't know. The women as objects thing in these films is tough. But then you kind of have to realize, well, this is of their time, and I would hope we've made some progress since then. You really don't see nudity in films anymore at all. Hardly. And I feel like it's become a common thing now for newer generations to kind of poo-poo the idea of nudity and sex in film. Which is interesting because then I feel like it's like a backwards regression because I feel like there's room for that.
I think my thought is it's going to
think about how to do it correctly.
Full circle. I think it will eventually come around. Everything always does. I think it will happen in my lifetime for sure. Like, I think it's slowly starting to happen now, which is why I think this whole concept here of a sexploitation podcast and focusing on these types of films was appealing to me because nobody's talking about it. But I think that the work that, Something Weird is doing by pulling back from their, Lisa pulled back from doing her DVD-R thing because it was so time consuming. And it's feeding an audience that is already like aware of what Something Weird is and what they put out. But I think by focusing on, putting that stuff out through, I mean, look at how many labels she's working with, like Severin, Kino, Agfa, Vinegar Syndrome. Like, you're reaching a new audience, I think, by putting this product out there and at least getting it out in like nice restorations where they can see them in the best way possible. So I don't know. I think that that's true. The renaissance is happening, I think.
Yeah, I think that's kind of true. But I think there's also a reason why For example, we have Severin cherry-picking the Novak library instead of doing something like Mantis and Lace or the Hicksploitation series or anything like that. They're cherry-picking titles that they know will be marketed to like a crossover audience that's into like horror or not even exploitation. Exploitation, I don't think even sells as well as it used to. I think the key time to do that is past. So I think it's an uphill battle, honestly, for sexploitation. I mean, Distropix is Vinegar Syndrome, we're down to releasing like a handful of titles a year. Sometimes there's only one release a month. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because the market is not what it used to be. They have entire libraries they haven't done a damn thing with because they don't know if they're going to sell. And then I'm also told when I'm trying to do extras, well, you know, if you don't want to, you know, whether we do extras or not, it'll sell the same. So then what's my incentive to even do extras? Or what's my incentive to even do anything historical for those releases? If the attitude is, it's not going to help sell these anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is to document the history, but if it's not considered important because there's no money there, then what's the incentive to do anything? So I think the market has definitely changed. And I also think it's different. Like the Kino stuff is interesting because it's tackling, like, a lot of them are roadshow movies.
Yeah.
Which I think is a different type of film history in that's like independent cinema. Burlesque is still popular because there are people who still do burlesque performing. They use it as like a sense of empowerment and performance. That's tough to translate into sexploitation because it was a lot of these films like Kiss Me Quick. It's not about empowerment. It's not about female empowerment. It's also not about like female subjugation or anything like that. It's exploitation. That's what it is, which I think that sometimes is a loaded word because it can mean a bad thing. Obviously, no one wants to be exploited and you shouldn't exploit people. But then if there's a market there where men and women know that they can make some money by just taking their clothes off in front of the camera for a little while and then leave and go home and feel fine about it. And I'll change with hardcore because in hardcore, you're really giving up a lot more for very little money in the grand scheme of things. But I think for sexploitation, it's very different. It's like a modeling gig.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if it's going to come all the way around. Like even roughies, I don't know. Roughies are much more difficult to discuss in that way because the goal of roughies is to rough women up because you can't have sex with them. And so it's, you know, it's like the antithesis to the nudie-cuties is where like nudie-cuties is like, well, you can't touch these women. It's just about looking at them. Yeah, and the roughies are like, well, I don't want to just, now you're telling me that I can't look at them, or that I can't touch them. Well, I will touch them and I'll do it violently. Yeah. And so it's this huge jump.
But they're closer to the horror.
I think those are tougher to talk about.
So you could market
horror
them
and noir.
Closer to horror noir. Yep, for sure.
That's true. But even then, I mean, horror is constantly accused of like misogyny. That doesn't help either. So it's an interesting conversation to have. I would like to have a larger conversation about it with a woman who works in this field, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
So that would be a good conversation to have. Actually, Lisa might be good to have that conversation with too.
Yeah, I don't know how much she could divulge about.
I mean, the good thing
is sells this much or this sells this much. I don't know if she can go there, but
well, yeah, even just taking like economics out of it, I just mean in terms of like themes and how they resonate with audiences now as compared to then.
Oh,
like
sure.
The audiences for these films then were very obviously men. But now, I mean, I know women who watch sexploitation movies, and their views on it they might like it for different reasons than I do, but the point is that we still like it. So I want to know, why do you like it? Like, and obviously, and because I'm a gay man, I like them for very different reasons.
Yeah.
I like Russ Meyer movies because they're pure camp. There are men who like Russ Meyer movies because they're sexy as hell. And then there are women who like them because, you know, Meyer, in his weird way, creates these empowering, imposing women.
Yeah,
it's just interesting to get different viewpoints, I think, for sure.
I think I can tell the difference now. I mean, her job.
She can be anything. Maybe a baseball pitcher or a professional hostess.
Why do you say that?
She likes to throw balls.
Well, Kiss Me Quick, I think, is just so dumb in a charming way that it really doesn't feel harmful. But it also, it is like a men's magazine of that era come to life. It's just naked ladies being photographed really beautifully in color, and that's kind of it. And sometimes that's fine,
Yeah.
But I guess if you're thinking about like the male gaze constantly as like a bad thing. If you're talking,
but it's a celebration as well.
Thing.
Yeah. Couldn't you argue it's a celebration?
There are different stages of feminist thought where like Andrea Dworkin would say, no, this is just meant for men to beat off to, and women exist purely for the male gaze. Meanwhile, there are other phases of feminism that would have different reasons for why the film is positive and different reasons for why the film is negative. Yeah, it's something that for this film I don't find particularly offensive. But if we're going to talk about something like the Flesh trilogy or something like that, where it really is just about like a man hates women, and the entire movie is just him destroying women for really just because he has a hard on for women because one woman cheated on him because he probably deserved it, and then he takes it out on every woman that he finds. Like we have a lot of that going on right now. We have a lot of really angry, and we have a lot of angry red pill dudes who would do that. So it's kind of interesting to think about that in that context. But then nudie-cuties, I think, because they are just so intensely stupid, they're so much easier to digest. Doesn't mean they wouldn't have problematic scenes like a woman being labeled a choice cut of meat. Or kosher, or whatever else they put on there on these women's derrieres as they're coming down, an assembly line. I don't think it's as offensive as I don't think the concept of it is as offensive as the execution of it.
Right.
But also, I kind of don't find it offensive because I'm just like, this, it's just stupid. And, it's kind of like when we talked about the Ramrodder. That movie is not smart enough to be hateful.
Yeah.
I think it takes a certain level of intelligence to be like deeply, deeply hateful. And I think it's easier to say like, well, if you're racist or stupid people, it's like, yeah, sure. But also, I think that's too easy to dismiss it. I think the more dangerous evil is a smart kind of evil, not a dumb evil.
One of the main characters in this is like walking around with a strainer on his head, and the other guy has like painted on like soul marks on his face.
Right. I'm just like, great. So it's just more than anything, I think it's because we know that these women were dancers and like models. I think we're really just getting to see the kind of women that were popular at that time in magazines, and we're getting like a snapshot of what their life was like as dancers in Los Angeles at that time. Like there's larger historical stuff that's interesting for me, especially Natasha. If that's a taste of what her stage show was like, where it's very like sophisticated and more about like creating a mood, like I find that fascinating, and we'll never know anything more about what her work was like.
Right.
So
yeah, and then you get someone like Claudia, who's like kind of the new generation. She feels like looking forward
like
to
a go-go girl on the strip, right? And I love that too. That like Something Weird put out, I think 5 or 6 volumes of those 60s go-go chick compilations, and it's just basically every single dancing sequence in their entire catalog, just one after another. They're great party tapes, but honestly, I'll just put them on in the background if I'm like doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun. And the music's always really good too. Sometimes there's just real joy in just like a topless lady dancing, just like no inhibitions, no regrets, just living life. I'm young and beautiful, and I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this in front of the camera because I'm young and beautiful and I'm having fun, and it is what it is.
Yeah, if they radiate like good energy, which they usually do. Right. Yeah, like the girls in this film. Right. Yeah.
As long as nobody's hurting anybody. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the more I learn about the men in this industry, the more I'm just like, okay, there was a sense of gentleman. There was a sense of chivalry among a lot of these people, even though they're working in a pretty sordid business. Like Rotzler, I keep bringing up Rotzler, Friedman.
Mm-hmm. Not so much
I don't know about Novak, but yeah, I don't know about Novak, but I think maybe he talks a bigger game than he did. I don't think he was like actively pursuing these women like Buckaloo probably, but like, there are definitely examples of nudie-cuties where nudie-cuties I don't feel are probably the least exploitive of the genre, other than burlesque films, because even nudist camp films are kind of like,
What of their backgrounds?
You can see for yourself. Extremely well-rounded. The blonde is a photographer.
That's neat. She could make all my enlargements. And what does the redhead do?
She's a personnel specialist. She's great at finding new positions.
Good references. Both of them.
quick before we go, let's give like top 3 other favorite nudie cuties that you would recommend.
Sure.
Why don't you go
I'll
ahead?
let you go first.
Oh, me go first.
Yeah. Because I want to know, because I've mentioned a lot of my favorites over the course of this conversation. Because Kiss Me Quick is number 1 for me, like hands down. There's no competition.
Yeah, Kiss Me Quick for sure. I think we're both in agreement that it's the best one, just because it is like so ridiculous, and it looks probably better than any other one. Wouldn't you agree? Like,
absolutely.
Thanks to Kovacs.
Yeah, it's like next level photography. Yeah. I actually like Tales of a Salesman.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't remember liking it that much, but I actually quite liked it. And it has a nice visual style to it, and that was apparently shot uncredited by Vilmos Sigmund, which I don't know where that information comes from, but I'm very intrigued to know more about that, because that means he shot a movie, a nudie cutie, the same year as Laszlo.
65, yeah.
Oh yeah, Tales of So. Well, yeah, it was probably shot 64, released 65.
Yeah.
I love that one. I have a soft spot for My Tail is Hot, with Little Jack Little. Jack Little is... Yeah. He's kind of the only one of these baggy pants comedians that I actually kind of like in these movies. I can tolerate him. I think he's fine.
Is that a Pete Perry? Is that credit correct? That film?
Which one? My Tail is Hot?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because wasn't that a Stutesbury? I think it was a Stutesbury one. Yeah, so that one is him.
Yeah, My Tail is Hot. I could see that being a nice one to follow up from Kiss Me Quick, because it does have that same absurdist sense of humor with how the whole film concept is presented. You know,
and it has like the devil in it, and it's got a couple. Kind of fun. Well, also Tales of a Salesman does too, which is wild too. Yeah.
I like Monster of Camp Sunshine. I forgot about that one.
Yes.
Maybe it's not a monster film. He's like a killer.
No.
So it's almost like kind of a slasher-ish, but it's made by like students who were like making fun of the genre.
Somebody.
Yeah, something like that. Right. So you get...
And never released.
Yeah. Some crazy like humor at the end of that one, where there's like bombs going off and a war, and yeah. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen that one, check it out.
It feels very experimental.
Totally, yeah. But you can tell that they're just like goofing around, and I don't know. Right. I just like it because it's different. I think. I think you'll agree with me. Our boy Sandy Johnson, Beautiful, Bloody, and Bare. How about that one?
Not as a nudie cutie. I like it as a early like slasher movie.
Okay.
I think as a nudie cutie, it's boring as hell. But I love the last like 20 minutes is great.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I love all the footage in Washington Square Park. My thing is this: I think upon hindsight, I think all the really good nudie cuties came out of California. I think Barry Mahon kind of cornered the market on nudie cuties in New York, and all of his nudie cuties are not good.
Yeah.
So,
well, what about like the Florida like nudist camp nudie cutie stuff? Do you like any of those Wishmans?
I'm trying to think of Florida nudie
Herschel
cuties.
Gordon.
Well, the Wishmans, I consider all the Wishmans nudist camp movies, not nudie cuties. Like there is a difference between the two. She only did nudist camp movies. She didn't do nudie cuties. So like Diary of a Nudist, Gentlemen Before Nature Girls, even Nude on the Moon is technically a nudist camp movie because it was shot at a nudist camp. Trying to think of who else is... Well, all the Bunny Yeager stuff is kind of interesting, but that was all Barry Mahon. Yeah, Lullaby of Bearland I think is fine. Yeah, I don't know. Something about California, something they kind of seemed like they knew what they were doing out there in terms of nudie cuties. There's a late period one, like the last one, apparently, called Substitution from 1970.
Okay.
Which is Walt Davis, which is for 1970. It's crazy that we're doing a movie in color with no sex and nothing in it. It's just a lot of naked ladies that the guy sometimes touches, and that's it. And it's really kind of nuts. It's like a nudie cutie with like split beaver, which is crazy because it's just like. It's 1970, like the same year he did Widow Blue. He did a hardcore movie with like murder and gay sex and shit. God, and he does this little thing where this guy is able to like see all these different women nude.
Maybe he was making it for like a very specific like theater that requested something like that.
I wonder. Yeah, because it really is just like, it's wild. It's also so old-fashioned. Like there's credits on like the nude bodies, like it's 1965 all over again. It's just really, yeah. I'm just when I do hold a big soft spot for that one. That's another California one too. Yeah, I like that one, and I like Everybody Loves It too. That's Little Jack Little again.
Well, I learned.
That's the one with like
today. I learned you're a little.
Clover.
Yeah, I learned you're a Little Jack Little apologist.
I do like Little Jack Little. He's ridiculous, but there is something about him where it just works with this stuff. I think a lot of these other baggy pants guys, I think it's because he's so short, and so it adds like that extra visual punchline. Yeah. So he doesn't really have, it's just something visually that is just fun to see with these naked ladies. And I like Little Jack Little. And I don't really like any of the big three though. From like the genre is basically, there are three big ones that everyone said started the genre. It's Immoral Mr. Tease, Not Tonight Henry, and Adventures of Lucky Pierre. And I don't really love any of those. I think Immoral Mr. Tease is not a good demonstration of Russ Meyer's talents. Not Tonight Henry is fine, has some good photography. And then Lucky Pierre is not as good as, I like Boing better, which is his follow-up to that.
Yeah, Boing's a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, yeah. Yeah,
it's a little more irreverent. It has more, like, nodding winks to the genre, I think, and I like that better. But, yeah, I mean, considering they're really stupid films, and they rarely run over, like, I think 65 minutes is, like, the peak. Yeah. So, which is good, because I don't know how much more time you can spend doing the same shit over and over and over in these movies.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the restoration of Everybody Loves It, speaking of, that's coming out from...
I wonder what that's going to look like, because if it's just from that one print, I don't know what that's going to look like. That's the one on that triple feature I'm most excited about. I don't really love 50,000 BC either, by the one Rose, not the other Rose.
Yes.
By William L. Or no, Werner did that one. Werner did 50,000 BC. Yeah, I don't love that one. And Mr. Peter's Pets is maybe the worst of these that I've ever seen. I really hate it. So I'm not excited about that. But yeah, Everybody Loves It is a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what that restoration looks like.
Yeah, and that has Althea is in that as well.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Is she one of the nurses?
Cathy Crowfoot.
Yeah, she's one of the nurses.
Yes, she is.
And Cathy's a nurse as well.
I think it's her and Cathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're two of the nurses, the two most recognizable ones, I believe.
Yeah, 50,000 has Gigi Darlene, which is kind of the selling point, I think, on that one. So
I think, that's probably it. But I mean, she's done so many better movies I'd much rather see on Blu-ray. I think most of her best stuff was with Wishman anyway, so those are out already.
Yeah, but you actually get to hear her voice in 50,000 BC, which is kind of nice.
That's true. Well, see, that's why I think we agreed on the Mahon stuff. I would love just a nice collection of all those shorts
just restored.
Hear the
voices,
she's in several of those, so I can hear her voice, Darlene's, Bennett's voice, Sharon Kent's voice. What's her face, who I love as well. Judy Adler's real voice.
Yeah.
Like he did the creme de la creme of New York models, and you get to hear all their voices. So I would love a restoration of those. That'd be a good project for Kino.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know how they market it. Barry Mahon's not exactly a household name, so I don't know how they'd market these short films. But I mean, they put out those Soundies, those are bigger though, because they're like collectors for Soundies. But
right.
The Barry Mahon shorts are so much fun. Those are the best things he ever did, I think.
Before we go, do you want to drop a bomb on Peter's Pets?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So I found I was doing research on I was trying to figure out more about the Seymour Bordy and Harry Novak connection, because his version of events with Seymour Bordy in terms of the company that they were at together. I was trying to figure out what company that was and all that other stuff. And I found an interview with Dan Sunny where he discussed that he was in business with Seymour Bordy. So it was his company. I think it was Seymour Bordy and Associates, and Dan Sunny was involved with that before Sunny Amusement Enterprises, which is a separate company. So in that interview, Mike does the interview, and it's a Cult Movies magazine interview that Mike did with Dan Sunny. It's a really good interview because Dan Sunny has so many good stories.
Yeah,
but
he's a funny
he
guy.
brings up he brings up Girl with an Itch, which he also I think discusses with Novak on the Kiss Me Quick commentary. And Girl with an Itch, Sunny says that was my brother's brother-in-law, Richard C. Crane, did that. So I was like, okay, so Richard Crane was a real person. So Dick Crane is credited as the director on Mr. Peter's Pets. So how does that become Pete Perry directing Mr. Peter's Pets?
Oh, I see.
Because even he says, Brainy says, well, I've seen Pete Perry's name attached to Girl with an Itch.
Mm-hmm.
And he says he may have done something on it. I don't remember now, but Richard C. Crane was my brother's brother-in-law. He was an alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking, my theory is this. If Richard Crane didn't direct Mr. Peter's Pets and Pete Perry did, my thought is that because Pete always wanted to use a fake name on his movies, the sex movies, that he just said, just put Dick's name on it. So maybe Dick was involved in some way but didn't direct it. Maybe Pete directed it and he was like, just take credit, Dick, because I don't care about this movie, just put your name on it.
Yeah. I could see that.
So that's my theory on that. But, of course, Dan's no longer around. But the fact that he verified Richard C. Crane's a real person, and for some reason Pete Perry's then associated as Richard Crane for, like, The Flesh Merchant, which is 56, which is way before he was in the business, and then Girl with an Itch, which is several years before he was in the business as well. He didn't do either of those movies. Yeah. So I think the Dick Crane on Mr. Peter's Pets might be an in-name only director credit for the actual Richard Crane, and that Pete did direct it. That's how that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think even Lisa wrote liner notes for this credit for this LP I have for the Mr. Peter's Pet soundtrack. And I only bought it because it has the DVD of the movie in it, so now I have to sell it because I don't like the soundtrack either. But in the liner notes, she says that, yeah, Dick Crane is Pete Perry Jr., but Dan Sunny confirms Dick Crane was a real person. So that's the theory that I'm going to
Well, he confirmed that he's a real person, but he didn't discredit that Pete might have put his name on it
involved
as
at some point.
Yeah.
Well, he said he may have been involved with it. I don't remember. But, well, the 50s ones he definitely wasn't involved with. Pete Perry Jr., the fact that he did, and they did Knockers Up for Dan Sunny as well. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely
in that mix,
connected to Sunny and Seymour Bordy. He's in the mix. So if he directed, it's possible. But then, so the Dick Crane of it all, the fact that Dick Crane's a real person, I just don't know how he got his name on the movie. Pete Perry directed it.
Yeah.
So that's a mystery that I'll never know the answer to.
Yeah, and we probably never will.
Dan Sunny is gone. Perry's gone. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. Like, the only thing I could do, I think of, is ask Lisa and be like, so what's the deal here? Because Dick Crane was a real person. Did Dan ever tell you what the deal was, that Pete Perry actually directed this, or what? Because I'd love to know. Maybe Friedman has some info. Mm-hmm. You know? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why, Alex will sometimes send me, like, photos from behind the scenes where you can actually see, like, somebody actually directing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why these are so important. Because you can actually, like, say this person was there on set directing this film. Where in a lot of cases, we don't know. Like, sometimes when they use pseudonyms, we're basing this off of, like, third-hand accounts or hopefully second-hand accounts. When first-hand accounts don't exist.
Thing too. Yeah. I'd love to see on-set photos of those movies too, because then it would at least determine if I see Pete. You could see both of them on the set at the same time, Perry and Buckaloo. Yeah. So I don't know. There's just a lot of. So it's very frustrating to come across these pieces of history that you'll just never know the answer to.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's my theory, and we'll see.
Well, I don't know. We've kind of been hanging out in Novak land for a little bit. We might return.
We've been in California a lot.
We might return here. Yeah, I feel like we haven't been in New York for a while, so
it's been a while.
I'll have to look at our list and see what we can cover from New York. I feel like our black and white days were like ages ago, doesn't it?
I know. Yeah, we've been in color for a while, and also in California for a while. Yeah, and I think our next one is also in California. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So after that, we'll have to figure out a New York one. Not that we don't have a lot of New York ones.
Right. We'll never run out of content.
No,
that's for sure.
That's very true. Yeah. We haven't even done a Russ Meyer movie yet, or Joe Sarno.
No. Oh yeah, that's right.
Or H.G. Lewis. There's a lot of big filmmakers we haven't covered yet because we'll get to them.
Well, and
there's not a lack of discussion about them,
And I am
nobody's really talking about Pete Perry.
Exactly. I'm trying to hit you with a few little deep cuts that have connections to something you might have heard of.
Right.
But
or we didn't even do the biggest Rotsler movie. We did Girl with the Hungry Eyes.
Exactly.
Which is not Agony of Love or Godson, which are arguably bigger. Yeah. Or even Mantis and Lace. That's a bigger one, too. Yeah. We're always going to throw a curveball at you.
Well, and if there's other podcasts that already exist that have covered a major one, then I kind of try to shy away from it. Someone already kind of touched on this. Let's do something different.
That's true.
Well, I'm sure we'll cover a really heavy hitter one of these days, just for something different,
Probably. Trying to think of what that would be.
Something real mainstream. Well, one of the Russ Meyers, that might be a good one. But again, if we're going to cover Russ Meyer,
I wanted to be at Common Law Cabin. That's my all-time favorite. which everyone, if anyone calls that minor Meyer,
you get mad.
Dead to me. I know. I get mad because I'm just then you don't know Russ Meyer. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you're talking about. That's Key Meyer. Yeah, it's I have very, very dedicated opinions about stuff in the genre.
Do not get on Casey's shit list by offending Common Law Cabin.
You can't have two camp icons in one movie and say it's mine or Russ Meyer. It doesn't work that way.
You think maybe I use too much sex fizz?